next story. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian says the US and Israel want to create divisions among Islamic countries as the Middle East war enters week 2. Pezeshkian warned that Iran will respond forcefully to any attacks while urging unity among Islamic nations to avoid enemies exploiting internal differences. He condemned US and Israeli strikes killing innocent children in Gaza and promised Iran will not bow to aggression. Let's listen in.
دشمن دلش میخواد ما و کشورهای اسلامی در جنگ باشیم، اختلاف بین ما و کشورها ایجاد بکنه. بارها و بارها گفتیم و نیت و هدف مقام معظم رهبری این بوده ما با کشورهای همسایه خودمون برادریم، باید ارتباطاتمون خوب باشه. اما اتفاقی که داره رخ میده اینه که از هر کشوری بخوان به خاک ما حمله کنن و تجاوز کنن، طبیعتاً ما مجبوریم جواب اونها رو بدیم. و این چیزی رو که میخوایم جوابشون رو بدیم معنیش این نیست که ما با او کشور دعوا داریم، معنیش این نیست که ما خدای نکرده میخوایم مردم اونجا رو ناراحت بکنیم. اگر ما با هم اختلاف داریم باید خودمون بین خودمون حل کنیم، اجازه ندیم اونها باعث بشن که این اختلافات به نیات شوم خودشون برسن و این امکان پذیر نخواهد بود. آمریکا و اسرائیلی که بی هیچ واهمه‌ای 168 کودک بیگناه رو میکشن شرم نمیکنن. از اینکه در غزه 50-60 هزار انسان رو قتل عام میکنن شرم نمیکنن. اون وقت دلشون میخواد بگه ما در ایران میخوایم آدم بکشیم، ما به کسانی که به کشور ما حمله کنن با قدرت ایستادیم، با قدرت پاسخ خواهیم داد.
Now joining us live we have our guest Martin Sa Reyes, who is an international affairs expert joining us from Ecuador. Martin, thank you so much for joining us today on the show. Of course, the Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has brought up one of the factors that's playing into this conflict, which is the sectarianism, but perhaps the diversity of the region. He's said that the Islamic countries should not let themselves be divided. Of course, in this region, there is a massive variety of religions, ethnicities, political persuasions, of course. Now, turning to Iran, could we see a form of sectarianism in a power struggle if we have this eventual case of the Islamic regime becoming dismantled?
Well, first of all, the Middle East has been a very diverse and at the same time problematic area for hundreds of years. Iran has been the Shia Islamic force in the Middle East, and they have been always fighting because of ideological and religious difference between the Sunni and the Shia Islam. But this difference became more relevant with the Cold War. The Sunni Gulf countries allying with the US and Iran allying with Russia right now, they are taking this difference in order to blame Israel for all of the problems of the Middle East. Obviously, Israel wants to have is more in alliance with the Sunni US-backed countries. Of course, that's obvious, but it's not that Israel is in a project of dismantling the Middle East or making each one fighting with each other. Basically, Iran has been the country that has been influencing the minorities in Sunni countries in order to carry out terror attacks against the population. So basically, the president of Iran is just using this historical fact in order to make Israel seem to be a pariah state, which is not the case.
And to the case of the day after, in the finish of this war, do you think if we do see the dismantlement of the Islamic regime, if they do lose their power, as has been speculated by the governments of Israel and the United States, could we see a sectarian power struggle similar to what we saw after Iraq? Of course, there is in both cases ethnic diversity, religious diversity. What's your thoughts on that?
Of course, I think after the Islamic regime falls, it will be very difficult to unite the people in Iran. We need to know that Iran right now, most of the people actually are anti-regime, but it doesn't mean that 100%, like 99% of the population is going to be happy with a new Western ally regime. The extremist Shia Muslim population will still be very relevant, and they will make struggles. I see in a future like small militias coming out of this clash between civilizations, Western secular Iranians supporting the new Western ally regime, or in the case that the Reza Pahlavi becomes the leader of Iran, or another leader. I see the small minority basically clashing with the secular majority, carrying out terror attacks and posing opposition to the population. So you're right, it will be very difficult to unite the Iranian people.
Mm-hmm. Martin, please stay with us as we move to our next update. US President Donald Trump